Okay guys, here is the gear for tonight. So now we're going to use the Era again from Blackland. We're going to use the blade that actually came with it. It's a Personna Super is what the blade says. I believe that means the comfort coated super chrome, on Persona's inventory there. But I'm not exactly certain about that. We got the 2000 Semogue Boar brush. And we have Damocles again from House of Mammoth in the Tusk base. It's tremendous. This blade has not seen any use. The first blade I tried with the Era was a Nacet with about half a dozen uses on it. It didn't go all that great. I used a level 2 solid bar. Looks like this. Almost dropped it. And I mean, craftsmanship's terrific, but the safety bar has a corner on it that it just doesn't move across your skin very smoothly without a blade in it. And then when you add the blade, it's just that effect, it's just not I don't know. It's a different effect than a lot of other razors, a more edgy type of feel. And then I've got a little visual aid to help illustrate my point. But then the second part was that it was just the level 2. From 1 to 5 is where the plates go. It was the level 2 solid bar, and it still didn't, I had to work. I had to do 4 passes, and even then there were a couple little spots that did not get cut very well. And could it be the blade? Sure. So we're not going to make any big recommendations or decisions based on one shave, obviously. But that is something that's kind of concerning. And it took 4 passes to do that, and it wasn't the level 1. The level 1 is going to be a smaller gap, so logically you would think that the level 1 is going to be even more in need of rework. However, that could be amazing because a lot of people don't have a really, really mild setting to fall down to. There are some people who need a milder setting than I do. And those are the kind of people who like maybe the 68 solid bar from Razor Rock in the Game Changer. That one's really too mild for me to use except for maybe 1 or 2 blades. And so maybe even this number 2 setting on the Era could be right along those lines. Oh yeah, see, it has the number 2 on the inside of the plate, has it on both sides. The bottom right corner of the inside and the outside. And so today we're going to try the open comb. It's pretty much identical, except for it's got combs notched out. There are other razors where the open comb and the solid bar differ greatly. But because the design of the Era, he was able to keep it the same. The Tatara Masamune with the solid bar versus the open comb, it's really quite a different design, and I found the open comb to be smoother than the solid bar. Usually that doesn't happen, but it was because of a design change. So let me show you my little visual aid here. Now, most of the time when we're looking at the side view, like if I were to hold the base plate at you this way, and that's what we're looking at, one end of it. You've got the top cap up here, and I put more of a gap there than it's actually there because of illustration purposes. Okay, and then you have the safety bar come out, and you'll notice there's a curve right there. And every blade I looked at a handful, has some type of curve mechanism right there. Now, some are excessively curved, like the Fatip Testina Gentile here. The Tech, it's easy to see that curve. It comes out, it does make a 90-degree angle, but it curves when it does it. So you get a curve. Even the aggressive Sterling stainless steel razor it's flat on the bottom and it just sticks straight out this way with the safety bar, but it's curved right there. They put a bevel, they rounded it off right there. And so what I'm pointing to is the rounded off point right there. The Charcoal Goods Everyday Razor. A little bit more chunky. And they definitely put almost like a chamfer, I think is the word for it, but an extra bevel right there. And so when you move it along your face, it feels fully and totally smooth without a blade in it. And all these razors that I've shown you, even this very aggressive Sterling, very smooth on the face, you just don't feel an edge at all. Even if we step to a Wolfman that has a very similar head design to the Era, they're both kind of thin. Okay, they're both kind of flat trajectory of the blade. Okay, but even this one, this safety bar right here is rounded over. And so you pull it across your face, you just don't feel an edge. The Era, however, I've been covering it up so far, but this right here is the Era. Rounded over, not rounded over. Now, it's not a complete 90-degree angle right there. It does come down. It does angle down a little bit before it makes a turn, and it's not a super sharp, I mean, that's not quite super accurate, but it's definitely nowhere near this kind of curve here. It does actually come to a ridge. It's just not as jaggedy as that exact diagram, right? I just freehanded this to illustrate the point. But that's the difference. All the others have more of a round off to the safety bar, and the Era doesn't. And so when you move that safety bar on your face without a razor blade, you can feel that edge. And so in that way, it's a different feel than most other razors. Now, is that wrong? Well, it's just different. It's not wrong. But if nobody likes that the way that feels, then, you know, it's not going to be a good seller, right? And so the open comb does the same thing, where it has that edge. And you can pretty easily see it. Now, the advantage here is that there's half as much of that edge with the open comb. So that's, I would assume, that's half as much for your face to feel as it moves. And so this could present a more comfortable feel if that edge is in fact a factor. Nice choice of words there. We are going to change, and instead of using a Nacet, a blade that has several uses on it, we're going to use the one that came with the razor, and it's brand new. It's laser etched, so it's difficult for you to see the etching. I might be able to work there we go, work the reflection. So the top part above the hole says Persona made in USA, and underneath it, it's upside down, but it says Persona Super. On the other side, same thing. One side it says Persona Super, other one Persona made in USA. All right, so let's put that in the Era. And so here is the look at the base plate. Now, what attracts me to the Era, see how close to the edge that bevel is? And so that's something the Era has going for it in spades. It has great blade support right up to the edge, but it just seems like maybe the safety bar of the solid bar, at least, was giving me kind of an edge feel that I didn't like as well as most other razors. Maybe the open comb is going to be different. Maybe it'll be different with a different kind of blade. So there we go. Oh, he chose to, nope. He did expose the end tabs just a little bit. I personally like that. Makes them easier to take in and out. And you don't need to adjust them. His razor here is just dead on accurate in terms of centering the blade properly every time. Sure looks like that's the case. Get my face wet. Last time I loaded the Damocles with 30 seconds of time and with a big 28mm Badger brush, and it ended up with plenty of lather. Oh, the scent here. I think that I really enjoy it. The mystery element that here in this soap in his description is not one I picked up right away. It's not one that just naturally exposed itself to me and what made it clear what it was. Metal is what he was trying to achieve, and you can read the description in the video of the scent. I definitely like it as a soap, and I think I'm growing to like it as an EDP as well. So I am glad I bought it. With this Boar brush, I think I'll do 30 seconds as well. It's a smaller, much smaller brush than the 28mm Badger. All right, 2.5 days of growth is what we're dealing with today, so it's kind of similar to the last shave I did with the Era. And yeah, I think that's generally fair because I'm not rating the Era based on the first pass, and I'm rating it on the second and third passes, those cleanup. Any good razor I've got is going to be able, vintage or modern, is going to be able to take down a couple of days of growth in that first pass, either in total or 70%, leaving plenty nice stuff, or very little for me to deal with in a normal way on the second and third passes. So I do think it's a somewhat fair comparison. I don't think I'm missing something here by not shaving it a one-day thing. I mean, I'll certainly get to a normal one-day shave, but not quite yet, it turns out. Shake a lot of the water out. Doesn't hold too much water. And I do have, as you can see, a couple of O-rings down there at the base because this guy was starting to splay out quite a bit in its early uses. I'll probably remove those as I get to getting it hair dryer treatments and that sort of thing. The 2000 is on its 26th use. You can see it kind of right in the middle there. And we're going to use it the 27th time now, and then I'll be able to start with the hair dryer treatments. It's part of my Boarathon. I like to refer to this one, and it's the Excelsior line, not the Hereditas. And the 2000 then has the Premium and Super is the hair grade that is involved with this in the Excelsior grade, and then they call it the extra grade is what it has as a Hereditas. So that's, I believe that's a downgrade. And so I'm glad I have this 2000 right here. I'm glad I bought up a bunch of Semogues. They're cheap anyway, but I'm glad I bought up the Excelsior versions before they are not going to be able to be found. All right, so 30 seconds of loading. 45 is going to roll around right there. Little kind of pasty slurry developing. That's good. I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of lather when it overflows like this. I went over by a couple of seconds. All right, so that's what the brush looks like. I'm sure it's going to be plenty. All right. And yeah, see, I've got lots of it around the thing here. Let me pause you and kind of deal with this. Used the excess Damocles around the soap there as kind of a face wash, and then I kind of hooked some of it in the bowl, and the brush remains untouched. So let's start working it. This little guy looks pretty small in photos, at least to me it did. and it's not a large handle. However, it's not as small as it looks. I like to regard this 2000 as a poor man's Semogue Owners Club. The Owners Club can be a little expensive for some people, and this guy is maybe $10 less or something to that effect, $15 less, and it's really quite good. In the Excelsior version, it was kind of the premium grade mixed with the super grade, and so it did represent a good premium quality bristle. I'm definitely going to have plenty of lather here. Damocles is one where he, in his write-up, Ben wrote about you being on the throne, you know, somebody being on the throne and dealing with weighty matters and, you know, things like that. And a really nice, a fun write-up. I mean, creative, fun in a creative way, not fun as in funny. And sure, I can kind of get a metallic note through here, but it's something I kind of have to push my imagination into with kind of foreknowledge and presupposition. But it is there if I think about it. And the EDT is going to represent this, his intended profile much more accurately than the soap will. Thoroughly enjoyed using the soap last time. Scent, just very enjoyable. Manly. It does have some fruity or floral bits to it. You know, it's where it's not like leather and smoke and wood. You know, it's got some creativity in there with taking and balancing some kind of feminine notes in there and making them part of the creation. And it just works very well together. Everything blends so nicely. Okay, we might be getting, that's quite liquidy, very fluid. So what we're going to do now is just make sure that it's homogenized. Make sure I don't have any wet spots in it or extra soapy spots. Just get everything mixed well. The long loft does help to keep my fingers a little clean, but as you can see, the short handle there does get your fingers close enough to start getting some lather on them. This really does look well properly hydrated for my needs. Look how elastic that is. So that is where I like it, almost certainly, but you know, we got to get it on the face to be absolutely sure. Okay, splash a little water on there. Oh man, that's nice. That is comfy. It's got a nice big spread pattern, and so it's got good coverage, and the tips are very, very soft. Actually, I think this is softer than the Semogue Owners Club was at this same age. Maybe this has more loft and that gives it a little bit more flex. This is terrific. So it's going to get even better when we work the hair dryer on it and split more tips. As you can see, we've got the nice lather here. It's not dissipating at all. We can roll it around and circulate it in the brush just if we want to. We've kind of got some excess here. I'm going to wipe a little bit of it off because it a couple of places has jettisoned itself. So this is a pleasure to work into my skin with this brush. Handle's pretty comfy to hold, even for my big hands. Even being so small, and right now it's slippery because of the lather, but it's just a well-designed ergonomic handle. I could add a little bit of water to the brush if I wanted to. But I think this is especially going to tune right up in the second and third passes when it gets a little bit more hydration. Oh, so nice and slick, man. Tusk is just a top-notch base. All right. Persona Super in the Blackland era. Setting plate number 2, level 2, open comb, as you can see. Let's see how it shaves down 2.5 days of growth. I'm kind of having to pull it through the hair. It's not breezing through the hair like there was nothing there. So there are other razors that can kind of do that better. And of course, I've identified what I believe is the cause of the different feel of this razor. But what if that's exactly what some people want, you know? It might be. There are definitely other razors that have a rounded off safety bar that contacts your skin quite a lot. Even so much that I don't really like to use them because it's almost like this really large thing on your face, and then in the middle somewhere is a blade. And it's kind of, to me at least, it's too much in the other direction where this is on the other extreme. I do kind of feel like I'm having to pull the blade a little bit through my stubble. However, no tugging. At least there's that. Get a rinse going. Wow, that was not very effectual. I can feel a good bit of stubble left on that side. But I also see a good bit of stubble in my swish bowl. It's just that a lot of other razors will cut it down more, and there just won't be very much at this point. And so it looks like this guy, I might not be surprised at that level of mildness from a 1 setting, from something at the very bottom. But like I said, maybe we have, I think I kind of discovered that the HoM-like shaving Taiga was a razor especially suited for people who like aggressive adjustables. And so maybe the era is, at least maybe the 1 and the 2 setting is an adjustable that's geared more for the folks on the mild end of the spectrum. And of course, he can start producing anytime he wants. Level 6, level 7, level 8. Increase the gap, on those if he gets people clamoring for. Let's do a cross grain. Almost feeling like doing another with the grain, but let's just see what happens with the cross grain. This platinum blade, if it's what I'm thinking, if it's that comfort coating Personna Platinum, it is a pretty good blade for me in other razors. So for some reason, this left side, my left right here, it seems to have gotten a better shave, a better cut from that first pass, and so now there's less to work at. Still very comfortable, just like the last time when I used the solid bar. No irritation at all, but also not all that efficient. Could it be that I need to use some kind of angle that is feels different to me than I should be using, and so then the problem's me? Sure, could be that. All right, there we go. Now let's do a rinse and feel and see if this side got cleaned out a little bit better. It definitely did. All that kind of stubble feel over here is gone now with that cross grain pass. This is the point that most other razors will get me there, but will do it after the first pass instead of after the second. But in the grand scheme of things, if the second pass has to do a little bit more, I don't care, as long as I get a nice close shave by 3 passes, because that's how many I'm going to use anyway, right? So if it's not all that efficient, as long as it takes care of business within 3 passes, I'm fine with it. Load up the brush again. And yeah, this lather, I pretty much nailed it here. Just terrific. Wonderful hydration, creaminess. Brush feels spectacular with this lather, and the scent. Oh man, that's just tremendous. Oh, creative. It's almost got some kind of fruit in it. Kind of like a lamplight penance. Had some kind of a fruity floral in there, but it was as an accent, and you don't pick it up as a floral. Another example, like the lower carve plates of where the open comb does not necessarily mean that the razor experience will be aggressive. That's just a myth, misinformation. Cross grain here from the other direction. In this, my trouble spot. Again, no irritation. Rinse. Before I rinse, we can look at how much lather was generated. 30 seconds of loading was plenty of lather. I am pretty sure that I've got 3 passes in here, and it is glorious stuff. That is perfect, at least according to how I like my lather. Went fishing this past weekend. My son caught an 8-pound striper. Awesome. All right. So yeah, 6 passes of lather was generated from that 30-second load. Now the results, in terms of the closeness, I just took a look. My trouble spot right here is where many razors can leave some extra length, and that's what's happened here. I do see several hairs in this area that have some extra length on them. It's possible another touch-up pass could take care of it. That was 3 passes. However, what we can definitely say, compare today's shave with 3 passes, yesterday's shave with 4 passes. That was a solid bar, not yesterday, but last time. Solid bar, level 2. Today, level 2 open comb, and it was a more efficient shave. I could go to most jobs with this shave and be just fine. Whereas yesterday it took 4 passes and it didn't even quite get this good. Okay, and so I think we can attribute that probably mainly to this particular blade, the Personna blade. It's brand new with when you're dwelling in the mild spectrum, and actually you've got kind of the bell curve in either end. Extra aggressive in terms of where you like your aggressive limit, and extra mild where your mild limit is. Blade selection matters more. Seems to be what I've observed over the years. In that middle ground, in mid-aggression, there's just extra flexibility there, and so many razors will work with so many blades. But mild razors like the Feather ASD2, the Game Changer 68, those things that are mild like those, and it looks like I would classify the level 2 era base plate, and obviously it's got to be, I haven't tried it yet, but by reason the level 1 should be in that class as well, as an extra mild. And so it blade choice is going to matter quite a bit. So my favorite Nacet is a favorite blade of mine. It works well in so many razors, but who knows, maybe it's not a great blade, at least at the 6 or 7 use point. Maybe a brand new Nacet works well in it. An extra mild razor, like it's sensitive with blades, it could be sensitive to blade uses as well. And so when I might be able to get 30 or 450 uses out of a Nacet, I may not be able to do that with an extra mild razor. That's really interesting. Could Scott, obviously he meant to do that. He's not the kind of guy that would leave that to chance or something. And so that was, it looks great. Visually, it looks fine. But functionally, I don't really like the way that feels. I wish it was rounded off more. It almost makes me think of buying some type of piece of equipment to take all my base plates and just round them off. And I got a feeling that would improve the feel quite a bit. And if it was rounded off, that would also probably increase the blade exposure. The blade was sticking out from right here. If the line between the top cap to the most outer point of the safety bar here, that line, if that lowers because you rounded it off more, then that exposes more of the blade. And so then that may move it out of such a mild zone to something more medium. And so the 2 may be more like a 2 instead of, this is really more like a 1 or a 0.5 when compared to other adjustable systems. Even the 1 setting on the vintage Gillette adjustables like the Fat Boy and the Slim is more aggressive. It's very smooth, very comfortable, but more efficient. That's what I should have said in the beginning. It's more efficient than this razor is. And so because of that little edge of the solid bar that I was telling you about, now underneath, who cares? That doesn't touch your skin. It's the corner on the top diagonal here. And so that, as it touches your skin, it's really kind of strange because It gives you the feel like it's a more aggressive razor. It's not a smooth feeling, but it's a very mild razor. So it's less efficient and very mild in reality, but the feel on your face is not that. Maybe that's part of the reason why it's a little bit of a strange shaving sensation. But is it effective? Yeah, looks like it. Good blade choice, especially you're going to get more efficient with the number 3 and 4 and 5. I did buy the number 3 solid bar. I do not have any more open combs. Um, Obviously, in retrospect, I was guessing. Obviously, in retrospect, I would maybe choose the right now. If I had to choose, I would go 3, 4, and 5 potentially with an open comb, maybe at the 3. I don't know, something like that. Um, I might still get the 2, but honestly, the feel. So I'm really curious. Will people feedback and talk about the feel of the razor being kind of unexpected? And if they do, will enough people say something to make, Shane make an alteration? He's made alterations before in the past, but it was just with, I think, with the Blackbird, it had some sharp edges. And so he just took those edges off, rounded them off properly. And it wasn't really an alteration to the shave, it was more of a cleanup kind of thing. And it didn't really affect the actual shave too much, I think. Um, but yeah, that would be interesting if he created like a version 2 of the base plates with a more rounded off edge right here. And I think I'd probably like that razor quite a bit more. Um, so it does present me with a challenge. Do I keep it? Shane's got a great return policy. Do I send it back to Shane? Um, I'm taking good care of it just in case I do need to send it back. But that's one of the nice things about Blackland and some of the other razor companies we have, that you can try it, and then if it just doesn't match you, you can send it back to them, no questions asked. Always verify that beforehand, of course, but that's has been Shane's policy as long as I've been around Blackland and seen their products. Um, the 2000, I did dry it with a hair dryer. I mean, look at this. If you want a Semogue brush with a big knot, this guy right here, and there are not very many split tips here, even after I treated it once with the blow dryer. It was so soft and delicious when I was using it today. I can't believe there weren't as many split tips nearly as many as I thought, and then even less were created. Right now with I do see some, but it's going to be looks like it's going to be a slow one, but that's fine because if it's slow, that means it's probably safe and a good long-lasting change to keep a nice healthy boar knot over the years. And so look at that. It's really dense compared to a lot of. Do I have one nearby? Yeah, here's the 1250. Did this one get? No, this one did not get blow dried. So it's not a official comparison. This one was put down wet, put down slightly damp, and so we had some clumping there of the tips. But this one has a longer loft and a wider knot, bigger knot, and so obviously it's got more bristles. But so this guy's I really like him. I really do. The 2000 Excelsior. So that I like this guy so much. I think it might be interesting to buy the Hereditas version and get the extra grade bristles here. See how it differs, because that extra, I've got it in another knot, but does the large size of the knot make that extra more kind? And wouldn't that be a neat experience? So I'm considering that. So the 2000 is now on the leaderboard here, and it's had its 27th use and then one blow dryer treatment. So it is now in the grouping that can be blow dried. I like to soak them for about an hour before I blow dry treatment. And I better get busy and maybe focus on one of them to have it blow dried enough so that it can do 28th use or something. But that's all right. I got other brushes I enjoy using. So once we get, well, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brushes left for that need their 27th use. And then they'll get in that blow dry cycle. Not blow dry, but just hair dryer treatment. That's what I meant to say, hair dryer. All right. I really enjoyed the scent. Last time I put agar on my face as a balm from Sterling after the Damocles, and it took the creativity and the interest of the Damocles in a different way, and it kind of got lost. I mean, it was nice, but I didn't want it to get lost this time. And so let's go with something very easygoing and calm: Lavender, Witch Hazel, to tone up the skin. The Witch Hazel is, I think, an astringent, healing properties as well. And then this toner is more aloe than Witch Hazel. And so that, of course, is very, very healing. And the lavender here is very minimal. It is not going to get in the way of the Damocles at all. Hasn't gotten in the way of anything else I've used it with. So there we go. The good news is that the Personna Super, and I put Era right here just to mark that this is the kind of blade that is included by default with the Era. Not that I'm only going to use this blade potentially with the Era, but just to make that note that that's what he sent along. Maybe he got a lot of feedback from other people about which blades were most successful with this, so maybe that's why he recommended it. Who knows? But it definitely did better than the Nacet with about 6 uses on it. Now, when we get this guy to 6 or 7 uses, that'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's, I don't know. I mean, sure, I'm going to try the level 1 at some point, but it's almost like there's no point in doing it. Maybe try the level 3 solid bar next time. It's definitely a different feel. A rougher feel due to the razor head just not being smooth, not being as smooth because of that corner I was talking about. All right. Well, there we go. That's today's shave, and it was data, and so it was sciencey. The Damocles was great. Don't know that I like the feel of the Era, so that's a question mark. No irritation, nice close shave, so at least there's that. It did deliver that. And the brush was wonderful. The coverage, the largeness. Oh, hey, let's compare it with, this is a good comparison. This is the Semogue Owners Club, and this is the 2000. See, the 2000's got even a longer loft because, you know, I'm restricting it a little bit with these O-rings. Now, this one, as you can see, kind of has the splay built in. It comes out of the knot that way, whereas the 2000 has it focused a little bit more. So that's a pretty good comparison of the two. This one's had more blow dryer treatments. This thing's had 16, so that's quite a difference. It looks more, that's another reason why it looks more fuzzy. It's got more of the tips. That's the Taj handled Semogue Owners Club. All right, smelling good. Face feels great. At least I'm walking away with a nice comfy shave. Everything else about the shave here, the brush, the blade was better. The soap, all that stuff was wonderful. Just the feel of the razor is a question mark at this point. So I hope this helps you in some way. You guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.